a few other people had just put that. So.
Right. So it does work using her voice analysis for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then adding the pyramid energy on top of it improves it
Hmm.
even more, is what she showed, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody, let's get on with the show here and bring in our lovely guests today. Oh, welcome, guys. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
So today, everybody, you're going to join us for an inspiring chat about Pyradym, a groundbreaking frequency instrument changing the game in healing and self-discovery. We'll hear from Pyradym Practitioner Ben Symes and its inventor, August Worley, about their journeys, the upcoming documentary, and what's in store for the 2025 Pyradym Summit. Plus, stick around for a 20-minute harmonic alignment session to experience the magic yourself. And real quick, I just want to mention that I don't have the Pyradym on my list of devices because I can't get one. I think August said he's 16 months out making these things, right? The list is 16 months out.
About 16 instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
that's awesome.
That includes the obelisk cabinet that supports Pyradym for group presentations.
Yeah, that's very cool. But I think Bob Connolly mentioned something about you utilizing the pyramid or the Puradigm in combination with the PEMF therapy as well.
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah. I know he's working with that quite a bit. And I'm actually developing a product that will interface the two, so we can drive a PEMF mat with Pyradym.
Yeah, very cool.
So the best of both worlds.
Well, I know, Ben. Let's start with you. You've had an amazing journey. You're like Pyradym's #1 practitioner. You're traveling all over the stinking world, aren't you? Giving healing sessions with this device, traveling with your Pyradym.
It's not actually quite that glamorous, even though one might think so. To be honest, yes, I have been working for the past decade with Pyradym, and in a sense, as I said last time, I guess I'm the most visible Pyradym practitioner right now, because I do move in a few circles, and I certainly have traveled to some distant lands with Pyradym and performed our services quite in a number of places. But really, my journey has been quite interesting because it came into my life a decade ago unannounced. I wasn't looking to move into the world of sound practitioners or sound healers, and it just found me through Facebook, showed up in my field, and from the moment I saw it, I knew that I had to have one. I didn't know what I would do with it, how I would bring it into my life. And from the moment that it arrived and I plugged it in and felt the sound of Pyradym, my life did something of a 180. My background with sound and music was pushed aside. I couldn't listen to regular music for about 2 years. There was something about the sound, the feel of Pyradym that stirred something in me. It unlocked something, and there was a aspect of remembrance, and it felt very sacred and put me on a slightly different path to the one I was on. At the time, I was an audio engineer, and I was working with the attunement of sound systems and the alignment of PA systems. And then I diverted to the attunement and alignment of the energetic system. And what this really did in an aspect of my awakening process was it really opened my eyes to the energetic properties that lie beyond physical life. I'd always heard about the energy body, but I didn't have a clear understanding of really what that was. So obviously, coming into an area where I'm working with a device that is directed at clearing stagnant energy from the chakra centers. I had an understanding of the chakra centers, but I needed to expand that understanding to really understand the energetic properties. And one of the key points for me was when I discovered something that explained the energy body. And we think of ourselves as physical beings, which we are, and we comprise of tissues and organs, which are cells, and then molecules, and then atoms and subatomic particles, electrons, neutrons, protons, and even beyond that we have quarks and the rest of it. But then what does all that boil down to? It boils down to energy. And this, even though it sounds simplistic now, it was a real eye-opener for me, because it gave me something tangible to hold on to understand how the work that I was now doing was a real thing. It was based in science. And when we look at modern day science, there's a latency into the information that is coming onto the planet and what may be taught within the education systems. I mean, most doctors aren't even, it's not a requisite to study physics, which is quite astounding when I found this out. So being able to understand the body itself at an energetic level, it makes a lot of sense how really what we're dealing with is unseen, and these waters that we're venturing into are pretty much uncharted as well. So, I mean, like I say, these were big aspects for me to grab a hold of and start to explore. And when we started working with Pyradym, we were having amazing feedback from the collective we worked with. We were doing sessions, and this work has only continued. The feedback we get is remarkable. It requires a certain degree of suspension of belief at times, because it's there's nothing like it, and the results that we see from it, like I say, I mean that they're remarkable, and moving into our understanding of how this whole field of energy really works. Because what we've come to realize is that there's such a self-responsibility when it comes to what we call healing. And I even have shifted beyond the term of healing to one of alignment, because, I mean, when we look at cases like Joe Dispenza's story, and particularly Anita Morjana, who is a near-death experiencer, and many other near-death experiencers, what we see from this evidence is that when they come into that point of alignment, that is where the healing process actually begins, because there's a latency for the physical body to catch up with what has happened at the energetic root level. I mean, with Joe Dispenza, it was when he was able to hold his focus and work through his 33 vertebrae and put them back in alignment. And then he said he knew he was healed, and the body caught up shortly after. Anita Morjani had the same experience when, after a 30-hour coma, she found what the blockage was within her energetic framework, which was a relationship to her father and some very self-degrading own beliefs that she held on to. And she said she came into this point of alignment, and when she came back from this, she knew that she was healed. And she spoke to the doctors and she said, "I'm healed." And they're like, no, you're crazy, hold on a minute, slow down. And she said she knew that her body was going to take a period of time to catch up with what had happened energetically. And sure enough, she went from like whatever stage of cancer, with tumors the size of lemons on her back, and within a few weeks was at a hospital, and now she's cancer free, talking on the circuit. So what this shows us is that there's an energetic aspect. And from my understanding, again, this is just my understanding, I am not saying this is the truth, because everyone's truth is a little different, but it is my belief and understanding that when we come into alignment at the energetic level, then the body will soon come into alignment itself, because it's our higher self, mind. I mean, we could argue about what aspect is actually commanding, but there is a commander, and our body responds. Our cells do, as they're instructed. And again, I think this is where science limits the advancements that on the fringe we're able to make, because we're just doing it, we're just living it, we're just going and seeing what works. Rather than having to wait for all the empirical evidence to come in and everything to shift and everything to shift. And, again, as Greg Braden, I think he quotes something like, today's miracles are tomorrow's science. It's like slowly and slowly we're catching up with it. So we're in a very nice position where we're not limited by that. And we're, in some ways, pushing that envelope and exploring at one curve of what is achievable through energetic alignment. And again, just to say that what I've come to understand is that there's a universal energy flow that flows through everything that we know. We know this saying, everything is energy. Okay, well, let's go beyond energy. What is energy? Can anyone explain that? And science struggles a little bit with this. Now, from my understanding, and a lot of my understanding, I have to say, comes from off planet. It comes through channeled sources that I follow. And I'm not, a whole flag waver for the Disclosure Project. My interest in sourcing channeled information is that it's information and we can take it at face value. And the level of understanding, the level of information that is coming through certain channeled sources at the moment is really pushing the boundary of this. And so for me, energy is consciousness. Consciousness permeates everything throughout the known universe and beyond. And we could, okay, well, what is consciousness? We can call that source energy. We can call it God. If we call it God, it ties in very handsomely with what religions have been telling us, that God is everything. Obviously there's a distortion with religion, because I believe that religion arose from aspects of our original teachings to how life, energy, consciousness actually works. But as we moved away from those original teachings, because we went to a sleep stage of consciousness, things got a little distorted. But it's interesting to see, when we look at like the miracle aspect of healing, which happens in many churches and places of religious faith, it comes into that belief factor. And that belief factor is also echoed in modern day science with aspects like the placebo effect. But on the opposite side of the placebo is the nocebo, which is where if we're told, oh, well, this is what you have, your knee's not going to work, your heart's given up, you only have 6 months to live, then we accept that as our only option. And then back to the aspect of the mind instructing the body at the cellular level, then the body's going to do what we tell it. So
I say that all the time. I say doctors should not be allowed to tell you whether you're going to die or not. They're giving you either one of two options. They're giving you a death sentence, or they're clicking that switch in you that says, you're not going to tell me when I'm going to die, buddy. And you're going to do anything you can at that point to survive. But how many people, like you said, will actually just give up at that point and just follow the lead? when it's unnecessary. I mean, we do have the power to heal ourselves. Can you give a few examples of some experiences people have had with Pyradym?
Yes, I mean, some of the notable ones. I mean, I mean, we've had a lot of time when we work in meditations. People have one account. This woman came in with twitching. Her legs started twitching like convulsively during the session. By the end of the session, they'd calmed down, and she said that she'd been encountering issues, pain in her legs that was now gone. We've had this as well. People come in with throbbing headaches, sinus problems. They sit in a 60-minute meditation with Pyradym, and they walk out of there like, this is no longer a problem, my everything is clear. We've had that. I mean, that's a more common one. Other examples we've had, there was a guy that sat with us one time, and when we did the sharing at the end of the session, as we always do, went around the room, he said that the sound of Pyradym reminded him of a motorcycle, and he said it took him back to a time where his dear friend had died in a motorcycle accident, and he was still holding pain and remorse for this situation. And he said that he connected with his friend in the session, and his friend was, what are you worrying about? Like, I'm in a perfect place. Like, let that go. Another one with a remote aspect, there was a friend of mine. He had a very good friend out in Jordan. This guy, it was around the time of COVID. He was in hospital. Things weren't looking too well. He said, could you do a remote session for him? I did the remote session. I sent him the recording. I said, send this to your friend. His friend wasn't a believer in things, far from it, in fact. But he played the recording, and he said the next day he felt fine and he was back at work. Now, do I understand how that works? No, I don't. Do I need to understand? No, I don't. The proof is in the pudding. And again, does it always work? I can't stand here and say, well, if we replicate this, it'll work, because then we have the aspect of the participation of the
That's what I think is key. The person has to decide they want to be healed. That's the initial healing part of the response of the person.
Yes.
And so many have subconscious blocks where they don't feel like they deserve to be healed. They may outright and say to you that they want to be healed, but inside they really don't, and that's what's blocking them.
And this is something that I've learned, tying into my awakening process, is to get out of your own way. Because when I sit with Pyradym, there have been numerous times where I've kind of hung my head at the end of a session thinking, oh, that was a bit rough, that was a bit drilling in the third eye. And then when we go around the room, and I don't know if I shared this story last time, there was a woman and she said, oh, I came in here with a terrible migraine headache. And I'm thinking, oh, great, now you're going to tell me that it just got worse, right? Because we were in the third eye, it was drilling. And she said then, when it went to that other blue light, she didn't even know it was third eye. She went to that other blue light and it just dissipated. And now I feel great. So there's me, the ego of me thinking, oh, you didn't perform very well. Performance aspect. But what it teaches me is little me, little Ben, the ego, step aside, because the higher me, in conjunction with the energy that's coming through the Pyradym, knows where it needs to go. And that's what's kind of unbelievable working with this device, because it does lead you to things and places that you wouldn't otherwise go to. And if you just learn to move out of your way and almost approach it like Reiki, because when we come to Reiki, if we're starting, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, no, you are not going to do anything other than be a fluent conduit for the universal energy flow that is coming through you. You are just the director. You're the one that it comes through and goes to. You are not doing anything more than that. And so for me, because I didn't have a Reiki background, I wasn't aware to that. I thought that you did things. So what it's taught me is to learn when to get out of my own way.
Yeah. So many people are unfamiliar with this. So it's awesome to have you guys on here to kind of put it into perspective for a lot of people. What are your thoughts on August? Some of the experiences that people who've never experienced Puradigm, like what did they experience before?
Well, yeah, it runs the whole spectrum. It can be a psychological situation, an energetic situation, a physical situation, because again, they're all nuances of the same thing. Um, just getting somebody in a position where they can realize that they have sovereignty over the outcome of their own process, I think is a big step forward. Um, Again, and I've presented this question in a rooms full of MDs. The one, I do two questions. The first question is, do you ever wonder why you like a song? Which sort of gets me talking around the ideas of what music is and isn't, and resonance and all those components, and the way sound feels, and
Yeah.
to shift you into a place of receiving resonance. And then the second question, and which is the big one, again, especially when you pitch it to a room full of MDs, is where does healing come from? If we're after the idea of healing, so you're talking about invoking a change from one state to another. The big question I always ask them, and as a Reiki master, again, rule number one, Reiki 101, is you can't make anybody heal. So pitching the idea to a bunch of MDs of where does healing come from, and the concept of, have you ever asked the client or your patient if they wanted to be healed? And I know it sounds,
Yeah.
kind of a silly question, but they may be having that experience
Yeah.
for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And you have no sovereignty over their decision of whether or not they're going to heal. They have to want to heal. And so when you're talking about resonance and inducing that sort of change that can help someone to get out of their own way and to pursue the what may be sort of off on the horizon in a place they'd never really thought of going. I think it can be a very life changing experience, because if you think about the ideas of maybe psychiatry and talk therapy always has a limited
Oh
uh,
yeah.
place. And psychologists always see this, and psychiatrists, where you do talk therapy to a certain point, and then you sort of reach a barrier, and the barrier is usually put in place by yourself. And there's what else can you do beyond talk therapy? Well, there's pharmaceuticals, and of course, and there's usually a laundry list of side effects when we get into that. Or you can get into non-talk therapy, non-verbal, which would be a music therapy or some form of a frequency therapy. And and again, that sort of cycles it back to, did you ever wonder why you like a song? Music is a profound healer, and we've known that for thousands of years. And so, like I say, I think it's such a simple concept. Particularly in this left brain dominated society, people tend to overlook the simplicity of working with frequency as as a source of resonance, and pursuing it as a healing modality.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing this for how many years now?
About 20, well, more than that. I was always very, very attracted to music as a kid, and but I've been doing this for 40 years now. I started off at Moog Music right out of college. I was a musician before that, and Charlie, it's like, yeah, my parents didn't want to fund me to become a musician either, but they were cool with the engineering thing, So yeah, you can still do the music thing. So that's why I majored in electrical engineering and I minored in music composition, because I was always very intrigued by why do I like that song? And we've all gone through
Yeah.
that. You play this piece of music and you just, you play it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And as a musician, you do that anyway, just become facile and to train your ear and your brain, but also because you really like it. There's nothing more exciting than listening to a piece of music. It's like you're falling in love, you know, over and over and over again with a different partner. And it's just the way these frequencies are arranged. I like that song. I don't like that one. And then, you get into the nuance of it where you can hear two versions of the same song. And for some reason, you love this version of it and you don't like that version as much.
Yeah.
So, you can really go down the rabbit hole with that stuff, but it's all about resonance and how does this sound feel? How does this sound feel? How does this sound feel?
We'll take that. Go. You have a documentary coming up that is just on that same subject, right?
Speaking of which, yeah.
Talk about that for a little bit.
A nice little lead in there. Yeah, again, it's always such a simple statement like that. How does this sound feel? Because people say, see Pyradym, there's all these knobs and switches on it and all that. And, how do I work this thing? What's the principle? And I told them the manual is like 82 pages long, but there's a lot of white papers in there. But it's not really that complicated because the only thing you really need to know is how does this sound feel? Does it feel good or does it not feel good? And not to say that it's not really doing anything for you. Maybe you need to find and retune it and find a frequency that does resonate with you. And it changes from day to day to day to day. That's always, and I always draw that correlation back to a song. You play that song over and over and over again because it makes you feel good, and you're dancing around the house as you're cleaning to it and all that other kind of stuff. And then the next day you put the song on and you kind of go, yeah, that's a good tune. It's not really affecting me the same way as it was yesterday, though. But this song over here, this other song, this one's lighting me up like a Christmas tree. So what's that about? And so you play that one over and over and over again, So, but what's changed? It's the same piece of music, especially as a recording. Well, you've changed. Your energetic matrix has been changed by the previous piece of music. And now you're probably open and receptive to a different collection of sonic vitamins that this song contains. And so you pursue that one, and then this one, and this one. And so, that's why, I think music is a really good way of maintaining health. But what Pyradym does, and that's what the physioacoustic component of Pyradym is it allows you to focus and concentrate and create a coherent sound that is specific to you. There's no computers, there's no lookup tables, there's no data involved with what frequencies heal this thing. There's no correlation there. You're using your own emotional guidance system to seek out and find those frequencies that resonate with you at this particular time, because they will change, because you will change, and it needs to evolve with you as well. Having an instrument that can evolve with you as you evolve, I think, is crucial as well.
Well, I wanted to bring this up too. For some people that may not know what Pyradym is, here's an image of it. This is August's creation. It's Ben's work as well. He's the practitioner. And they're like when they operate this device, it's like they're the DJ. It's like they're the musician, tweaking all the knobs and making it do different things. It's really cool. And we're going to have a session at the end of this live stream today. And I need to apologize to everybody because last time we had August on, we could all hear the Puradigm when it was running, and it's a lower sound, but some people in our audience couldn't hear it. And I thought it was just because their volume wasn't up enough, but it was because I forgot to add August's sound to the live stream. So I apologize.
Happens all the time.
But we ended up doing another recording, so that's out there too. And then we've had Ben on a few different times. Guys, go back and see his interview. Go back and see August's interview too, because we don't want them to have to repeat everything on this one, because there's just so much information to share. And so they're going to go into talk a little bit, August, about your documentary that's coming up. Like, when will it be out?
I believe we're going to be releasing it soon. That's Ben's the producer. I'm just the talent. Just sort of relating the stories and all that kind of thing. Ben has a very unique gift of being able to ask the right questions that sort of
Very cool.
allow me to just kind of go, oh, well, because these are the same questions that I've asked. Because again, Paradigm it's a channeled instrument. I'm a good engineer, but I'm not this good.
Yeah. I didn't know that you were the producer, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah, it just came very organically. Some years ago, I just felt a call that I really wanted to create a documentation of what we were experiencing, what we were working with, and I've always had an interest in film. I studied it loosely in my younger years, but had never produced anything. Now that the technology allows us to do it so effortlessly, I think it was 2022 when we started to film. We were on a trip down to August, and I just ran the camera. We did some interviews. I came back, I left it alone for a while, and then returned to it, started editing, found the story in there, and it's going to release the end of this month. It's called How Does This Sound Feel? Forgotten Futures, and it's unfolded in its natural way. This is what I mean by being organic. This is going to be episode 1, which is purely an introduction to Pyradym. It creates the backstory of how it came into being. There's some other stuff, but it doesn't really get into the practical applications. That will be in episode 2, which we're going to start filming at the summit this year in April. So we're excited to present it. It's really out there as an offering to raise awareness to Pyradym and what we do. It will be available on Vimeo and YouTube. It's not a payment thing. It's free. It's informational.
Awesome.
Anyone can watch it, and it's got some funny stuff in it. It's kind of nice to watch, and it's very meditative.
That's cool. So let us know when you release it, and we'll put it out in our newsletter as well.
We'll do, for sure.
With our audience. Yeah. So leading into that, why don't you guys talk about the summit? Every year in Asheville, North Carolina, where August lives, they have the Pyradym Summit, and everybody knows the devastation that area has. How it's been affected by Hurricane Helene, and I'm sure it was kind of up in the air if you guys were going to be able to have it there again this year or not. But you guys have worked something out, right?
Yeah, we're going to have it. It's an old retired Girl Scout camp. The camp itself is retired. I don't know if the Girl. It's a Girl Scout camp. There's a little community center out there. It's a convention center for. Like Fortune 500 companies go there to do their little retreat brainstorming sort of sessions. So it's fairly remote. It's in Lake Lure, which was probably the hardest hit area.
Oh, wow.
Hurricane Helene. So not only is it an appropriate place to have this event, but it's also an appropriate place to sort of anchor the energy of this.
Transmute the trauma.
Yeah. And I would like to put that out to anybody that might be interested in helping this area, is to come to the summit. If you're even slightly interested in the possibilities of frequency medicine, and also would like to bring your energy into this location in order to help support its recovery and its healing. Then do come. This isn't. This is not a sales. Pitch for Pyradym or anything like that. It's just a way for like-minded individuals that want to connect with it and ask questions about this thing. What is frequency medicine? What is physioacoustics? Did you ever wonder why you like a song? And you meet some really great people like Ben and myself, and I think it's a really appropriate thing to do, especially in spring. So it's coming,
Yeah. So when is it? What date is it? And give us kind of a rundown of what past ones have, what could we expect, I guess.
Well, we have quite the gamut. We've got Richard Schulman is going to be performing again. We've got Dale Allen Hoffman. We've got Anna Berkland. We've got Ben and Dee Dee's coming again, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
or will be coming this time. There's just a wide open presentation of just sharing information and playing around with Pyradym and being able to just really do a deep dive in a very natural setting, very connective sort of place. It's a sacred land to the Cherokee in that area. So it's just a wonderful place to retreat to.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Charlie.
I was just going to say, when is it again, and where can we find out more information? Do you have specific dates set?
Yeah, it's the last weekend of April. So I believe it's the 25th, 26th, and 27th. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
Okay.
and we have also brought because of the situation in terms of the restaurants in the area. There's not many restaurants that were left after Hurricane Helene came through. We're catering the event on site, and so there are plenty of B&Bs around the area, so you can support the local economy with that effort. And it's just it is a summit retreat centered around Pyradym.
Cool.
You can find it at pyradym.com or the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook.
Yeah. So I'm actually on the page right now, just to give everybody a little rundown. Features include inspirational speakers, group sound meditations, live music performances, campfire discussions, shamanic breath work, drum circles, one-on-one Pyradym attunement sessions, Pyradym-infused physical massages, and CE5 meditation. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. You got it's very broad, ranged. What Pyradym sort of encompasses. It's very much a Swiss Army knife approach to quote unquote healing, and in higher. I don't like using the word linear, the linear word of higher or lower or anything like that. It's a very expansive sort of instrument, and we do offer a very expansive program.
Very cool. And then there is a list of Pyradym practitioners if you go to pyradym.com as well under the practitioners page. So if anybody wants to experience Pyradym for their own personal session somewhere, check out that page. There's a lot of information on there as well.
And that's another thing I wanted to get back to, because Pyradym, it does not reproduce very well electronically, remotely. That's why we've always had problems, putting Pyradym out through through the internet. You can't hear it over a telephone, for example. It's very much a very personal encounter with the instrument, because there's an energy associated with the geometry, the physioacoustic aspect of it. The entire instrument does vibrate. And so whatever you put it on vibrates as well. So if you want to resonate your entire home, you can do it by finding the right place to put it in your house. Energetically, it does put quite a bit of ozone out, because we are essentially heating a quartz capstone on top of the instrument. So there's light associated with it as well. It almost requires a personal encounter with it, a personal experience with it. So it's a very connective thing that way. Most times there's Yara formation. Ben can probably tell us where that name came from, but I do believe that the instrument told it to him. And I would say about half of the paradigms that are out there do have names, and the names usually come to uh, their guardians at
Oh,
some
very
point,
cool.
where they kind of wake up and go, I had a dream last night. My paradigm told me what his name was. And so there it is.
Yeah. Do you want to go into that a little bit, Ben?
Yeah, sure. Um, After a couple of weeks of having Pyradym, it became apparent to us that it was carrying its own energetic signature. There was a consciousness to the instrument itself. I'd felt that since I first plugged it in. Others that had sat with us said the same thing. It was very obvious, and it just felt rather impersonal calling this beautiful instrument Pyradym or the Pyradym. So I was discussing it with August. He suggested that during dream time, before I go to sleep, ask for the name to be shown to me. And sure enough, it popped up very clearly, Yara, Yarah. I had no understanding of what the word was, got up, Googled it. It was it's got a few connotations. It was an ancient Hebrew word meaning to instruct, a way shower, a teacher, also to flow, and something like an archer. There was also a connotation where in some ancient texts, maybe in one of the Hebrew books, it translated to stand, to quiver and to shake in awe of the one, consciousness.
Oh.
And obviously, all of these aspects related very strongly to what I felt regarding the instrument. And so, number one, because we have two, was called Yara. And then the formation came because around that time, I'd had some peak experiences and I went into something of a mild trance state for about a month and just had a compulsion to create a website to act as a platform for the work that we were doing and the work that was to come. And I chose the name Formation because it's like geese fly in formation, and you'll have the one that's at the front and then another one
Oh, yeah.
takes the point. And to me, that was very important because with Yara formation, it's inclusive, even though I am most often the spearhead, the one that's pushing it out there. We always hold space for others to come through and take the lead because it's very much a we, not me energy that we resonate with. And a collective, again, that was part of the awakening aspect, was awakening to the greater collective and moving away from the separated self. So yeah,
Oh, that's a beautiful story. That's lovely. Do
yeah.
you have two of them? You have is the other one named?
Yes, the other one is named Venus. That doesn't have such an elaborate story. We did ask for the name to be shown, and one never came. And it's an interesting dynamic because Yara, which I associate with a masculine energy, has
Oh.
feminine properties, and I'm talking divine masculine, divine feminine. It has feminine properties. It's very intuitive. It's very nurturing. It's very flowing. The second one we have, which we call Venus, has more masculine properties. It's more clinical. It feels analytical, more surgical. So each one seems to have a different personality, and even the way that they play. Like
Oh.
the one that I'm operating today is a lot more precise. Yara, the original, is a lot more loose and fluid and doesn't always do doesn't
Yeah.
always
Doesn't always listen.
go into going. So this one I use more for personal sessions because I'd like to have that tightness in a sense.
Yeah.
although I do mix and match. But I have used Venus in a ceremonial setting, and the feedback I got was that it wasn't fitting, and I haven't put him in that situation again. So yeah, and I mean, it sounds a little crazy, you know, talking about this instrument in these terms of personality, but they do carry a personality, and they all play a little bit differently.
I think a lot of people can resonate with that. People name their cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
can you use more than one paradigm at the same time? Like at the summit, do you guys have multiple ones going at the same time, or?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, and yeah, the last time we had a few of them sprinkled around us. Some of them never came out to play, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the for my part as the inventor, um, I like I said before, I'm a good engineer, but I'm not that good. I just sort of followed my guidance, and it's like, okay, I guess this is what we're going to do, and it has to be this, and the if you can look up the Moog Voyager synthesizer that I helped create with Bob Moog back in the early 2000s. I think there's like 50 control elements on it. Switches. There's a touch panel in the center of it. There's wheels. There's all sorts of things on there. So it was very, very, very elaborate because it's designed to create pretty much any sound you can imagine. Where Pyradym was the project that I did right after it, became like a removal process. There were so many bells and whistles that I could have added to it, and it was like no, it was like no, you got to keep it simple. It's going to be perfect the way it is, in the most simple control set that you can imagine, and because it's not designed to make music, it's not designed to decorate time. It's designed to resonate the human body primarily, but you can resonate everything with it. And so, the path of creation was pretty interesting, and and that's what I've always told everybody. I'm just making up as I go along, really. Um,
How long
and
did it take you to make it? To make the
about,
first model?
you know,
What
but
was that again? I'm sorry, you cut out.
about a year and a half. Um, when I just it just kept visiting me. I was doing the channeled writings around it, and it just kept appearing. Um, I woke up one morning, because it was just kind of, I really didn't know what to call it. It didn't have a name, and I remember sitting up in bed and I looked back on my pillow, and it was written on my pillow. It was almost like if you made a neon sign out of it. It was a cursive writing style, and it just said Pyradym, and it was like, okay, well, that's kind of a funny way to. Okay, that's an interesting name. And then it wasn't until somebody pointed out to me, like many years later, that it's essentially the word pyramid, but with a couple of letters switched around.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I never saw that, and it's like it's just what it was, because it would just appeared, and there, and off you go, got a name, okay, like it just sort of says here it is, okay, what's next, and
That's very cool.
it's going to have light now, it's going to have a radiation generator. It's going to have Egyptian biogeometry in it now. Oh, okay. What's that? I mean, I didn't know anything about Egyptian biogeometry. And then I got hired as a special consultant for 2 weeks by the Vesica organization here in Asheville.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about radionics. And then it basically kind of called back my undergrad um, uh, experience at university of designing microwave antennas. So this
Oh.
is, so it's a kind of very strange little path that, and here we are.
Well, Charlie's been delving into antennas lately.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll be delving some more.
Yeah.
A lot
Well,
more.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go into the healing session. Why don't you, can you guys explain just a little bit about what people can, what they should be doing during the session and what they may experience? And then we'll talk a little bit more after the session.
Yeah.
I always say just and then Ben can take over. I always just say just breathe and just allow the sound to take you where it will. You're going to feel it in different places of your body, and that's a choice that you can make. Is that you can do with a lot of frequency medicine devices? Is that if you find something that resonates and it feels good, then enjoy it. But if it's a little uncomfortable, then you can turn the volume down and just sort of breathe into that, or breathe into and put physical contact on an area that may be causing you pain or discomfort from the resonance. Send your energy into it that way and see if you can shift it that way. With Pyradym, if you're there in real time, you can change the frequency and move around anything that might be causing discomfort. But in this sort of environment, just recommend breathing into it. Just breathe and relax and just let it take you where it will. To you, Ben.
Yeah, all I would say that you need to do is relax and surrender. And as August says, just allow the sound to guide you. If anything uncomfortable arises, breathe into that area and release with your exhale, and know that the sound is stirring in you something which is ready to be released, and the aspect of discomfort is just the energy making its way out of your field to the greater field where it can be grounded. My intention for this session, which is usually my intention for most sessions, is just to release and align. Just allow whatever is no longer serving us to move. And you may find some strange thoughts come to mind, certainly not things that you thought were going to come up. And again, just rest assured that that is the energy which is ready to leave your system now. And if you have anything in particular that you're looking to release or you're looking to create, set that as your intention going into the meditation. But please don't hold on to it during the meditation. Just set it and let it go, and just relax into it. And that's it, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The mantra I always say is it goes where it needs to go.
Yes, it does.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys,
Quick question we have: do we need, or is it helpful to have headphones for this?
It's helpful. I mean, it's low end frequency if you have a good speaker system. But honestly, the energy transmission will work either way.
Okay.
last time we did the session, I actually felt more energy once it was turned off. It felt like that was just like it was weird.
Well, as August taught me, that's the 8th chakra, and what I feel the same way, because when you're in it, you're in it. And my style, I will say, tends to be, people say it's intense. That's just the way it is. I've tried it other ways. It's not really me. So let's call it that. But at the end of it, yes, it's where the dust settles, and that's where the smoothing out, because again, it's like a massage, right?
Yeah.
It is a sonic massage, an energetic massage. And when you go and you have that work done, if you've got knots, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but then you come out and you can relax, and then you feel the smoothness. So yes, that's a very astute point you made there, Lisa.
Very cool. So, guys, we're going to start the Pyradym alignment. Ben is going to be operating the Pyradym behind the scenes here. So you're not going to be able to see us during the session. Just, close your eyes and encompass yourself into the power of the Pyradym.
Okay.
You ready, Ben?
Yep, I'll just switch my audio over, and we'll be good to go.
It's very
That
nice.
one pretty mild.
That was very nice. It was like, I just got tons of chills, and yeah, I kept envisioning a little airplane flying around. It was like taking me where I needed to go, and it was like I was going to my original home and getting some things from my room up there that I left behind, and bringing it back, and just a continued cleansing, but like circles and just kind of like a roller coaster. It was really cool.
Very good. Yeah, it always leaves me just feeling a little smoother.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
I
what
like-
when it ended, I just feel everything is just like calm.
Yeah.
You know how if you have a headache, you're constantly unintentionally clenching your jaw and
Mhm.
tensing your eyes and stuff, and it just is a total release of all that tension in your body. My hands are warm now, and it's freezing in Pennsylvania here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the aspects because it places our focus upon the sound because the sound is so dominant. There's no way that you can not focus upon it. And I think when we place our focus there, it pulls the focus of our other attachments, thoughts, and feelings away from where they are. And then when we come out of the session and the sound is gone, we kind of have the choice of which attachment we wish to reinstate or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that came to me now, actually. So,
What did you experience, Charlie? Oh, you're muted.
he lost his voice.
He lost his voice.
There we go. Now I'm not muted. It felt like waves, almost like a gentle vibration in my body initially, and then uh, periodically I would feel a sensation in a part of my body, like you were talking about, Ben. And like one place where I started to feel sensations was in my rib cage, where I was in a car accident in college, broke some ribs, and must have been carrying some stuff there, I guess, because I was able to release it and the sensations went away. Felt it a lot in my forehead too, in my head as well. But very cleansing experience, and like Lisa, I just feel more comfortable, more at peace, and after the session than certainly I was before.
Yeah, and just to say, I think that's really one of the ongoing factors of Pyradym because it's energetic health maintenance. Yes, it can. I believe and have witnessed to some degree that it can facilitate a space for instant healing, shall we say, spontaneous healing. But I think there's an aspect of alignment, and that's why I, in particularly, chose harmonic alignment for the work that we do, because it's like the body is a vehicle, and much like a car. If the car's wheels are aligned, then it's a smoother ride and it's more energy efficient. And again, that's one thing that Pyradym brought into my awareness, back to the awakening aspect of the topic for this discussion, was the importance of energetic health maintenance. Because, like any health maintenance, if we just do a little bit every day, then it doesn't build up. So the regularity of time spent with Pyradym. And honestly, I'm talking to myself here because I haven't sat with Pyradym for months because I've been doing the film work, I've been off in other places, and it just reminds me every time I sit with it. It reminds me just sit with it more. I mean, they're always on in our house in the subtle background, but not necessarily am I hearing it. I'm feeling it because of the vibration, but not the audio. And when you just take that 20 minutes to sit with it, it's I feel great.
It could really help a lot of people that are it's hard for them to meditate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the features, because it is meditation made easy. It
Mhm.
can also be very good for enhancing our natural sleep cycles,
Mhm.
and
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
releasing anxiety. Like when I'm a little bit whatever, I'll just leave it in the root chakra, because for me that's like the purr of a cat. It's just so solid. Most of the time in the house it just sits and purrs in the root, because it's soothing, it's grounding. There's not sort of as much work to be done in that sense, and it just feels comfortable. We live with it and we don't notice it until we turn it off. And then it's like, oh, somebody just left the room. What was that? Paradigm's not running? Why?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
totally
but
understand. Yeah.
the anxiety aspect, and I think that's the future of it. I mean, Anna, who August was mentioning earlier, she's really in the field with it. She's a top class masseuse, and she started using it in her practice, and the feedback she's getting from the clients. Some of them now, they're like, no, I just want that. What
Oh,
she's
wow.
what,
Wow.
what she shared about it is that it's like having a buddy in the room, and it just um, she just knows where to go and what to sense. It's heightened her sensing
Yeah.
capability, and again, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. My role in all of this is I'm something of a natural spokesperson, and going back to what I was saying in the beginning of the interview, I'm pretty visible out there as a guy with Pyradym, and I move in circles, and I bring the knowledge of it, and that back to the film. That's the intention of the film, is to put it out there. And from the summit, we've seen other practitioners coming in, and everyone uses it slightly differently, and that's the beauty of it. Like August says, we are making this up as we go along, and I think that there's a lot still untapped in Pyradym that will be shown to us either through ourselves in time or through others. I mean, Yara, the first instrument, that's done things with my hands off of it, literally like a piano playing itself. And it's done things that I still don't know how it did it. I'm trying to figure it out. I can't do it. And at the time, it felt like, I'm going to show you what we can do here, and you're probably going to spend the best part of your lifetime trying to
Yeah.
catch up.
Well,
And as more people come, they'll show us new things. So
I definitely could feel the spiritual intervention, the spiritual guidance where it was leading me. I saw at one point, before I started doing the loop-de-loops in the plane, a young female cocker spaniel, tan, like light brown, and I felt it was in spirit. And I've never had a cocker spaniel. I've had many dogs, so I don't know if it's somebody watching that's meditating with us, during the session or what. But
yeah,
yeah, it was
maybe. And,
interesting.
and one thing I will say about where it leads us that I've learned as well, it leads us back to ourselves,
Yeah.
because that's a key factor that I've learned with Pyradym, is not to make the instrument the guru, because then we're missing the lesson. It's leading us back into our own
Yep.
self and our own sense of self empowerment, and
It's
it's
funny you say that.
beautiful.
Well, that was my experience. That was my experience because I wanted to see more. I wanted more visitation from spirit, when I got that. And it's like, no, you have to work on yourself first. And then it took me back in the plane, and, we
Yeah,
were doing loop-de-loops and opening the window and cleansing with the energy. And yeah,
and I think that's one of the real beauties of this instrument, is that it leads us back, but gently holding our hand to a place where we can do the work. Certainly with me, I've done so much work in the last 10 years, and it was work I didn't even know I needed to do. And
yeah,
now, after sitting with the instrument for so long, now I feel ready to come out, because there's a background that I can share about my experience, my time with it, what I've witnessed, and where we see it may be going. Like he says, we're making it up as we go along, stepping into the unknown, and
Well,
it's
and I'd like to address that too, because I like to say, because that's sort of my my personality emerging, that I'm making it up as I go along. But the reality of it is that it is a forgotten future. And from what I've seen is that, this is all just played out the way it's supposed to, because the invention of Pyradym it fell somewhere between, as Bob Moe used to say, it fell between discovery and witnessing. And it was just already there. And I just sort of right now I'm still trying to figure out how to present it to people to allow them to remember what it is. That's why it is a forgotten future technology. And what I've learned from developing the instrument over the years is that the simplicity of it addresses the simplicity of the energy that it does stimulate and connect you with. I've always said that whenever I've done Pyradym sessions, especially a lot of Pyradym sessions in a row, I've always felt stretched when I would get out of that, and I would drive home from 6 hours of doing Pyradym sessions, feeling grounded, but also feeling stoned at the same time. And it really does kind of stretch you. And so you can connect with the universal mind and ground at the same time, in very interesting ways. And I think ayahuasca is probably about the only thing that's comparable to it, without the deleterious, toxic effects of ingesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go to an ET channel panel like I just came back from, and it's a similar feeling, because it feels like a cellular expansion, and just expanded. They are very similar experiences, because, like you say, it does stretch and there's less compressed, and that's where we're all heading anyway. Into the new energy of the planet. We are becoming more expanded.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, bless you guys both for the work that you're doing with this. This is just amazing. And thank you for coming back on and sharing this with us. Did you have any questions or comments, Charlie?
Nope, I'm good. I want to follow up August after the show, but yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
He's worth following around for a bit.
Well, I would definitely want to get my hands on one of them. So I'll be getting on your Pyradym waiting list here shortly.
Thank
It's
you.
definitely worth the wait,
Yeah.
And hopefully, maybe that's something we should do, Charlie, see if we could go down to the summit. When is it again? The end of April?
That's right.
Yeah.
April 25th through 27th.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
definitely, that'd be cool. Okay. Well, any last words, guys, before we call it a day?
No, I'd just like to thank you both for the opportunity to come back on.
Yeah. Indeed, I agree. Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. I think you guys could come back on every month with just another session for people. Every session is different, right?
Whatever you need.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, just to get it out there and spread the word about the
Absolutely,
summit.
Lisa, and it's good. It's good discipline for me, because I've been hesitant. Like during the pandemic, we were doing the online meditations, and then we took a break, and everything in its right time. But now, coming into this year, it just feels like the time to step things up, present it to those that resonate, and stop hiding, basically, for me personally. So yeah, whatever you need, I'd love to do that. You can always call on me for anything.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, lots of love to you both, and lots of love to everybody that's watching today. And don't forget to check out August and Ben's links. They're in the description below. It'll take you to the information on the summit as well. And hopefully we'll see you guys there. Lots of love to you all, and keep exploring, keep growing, and remember, your potential is limitless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.